Hey there.
Hey, Joy.
How's it going?
All right, just getting set up. There we go. You're in an apartment, right? Didn't I catch that from our previous conversation?
I am in an apartment. Yep.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully I'll help you understand what it'll look like when you go to find a place.
Yep.
Have you ever purchased a home before, or no? Okay.
Nope. Someday.
Yeah.
We have a dog, so eventually, it'd be nice to have a backyard and all that. So definitely on the radar. Yeah.
Hey, Eric.
Hey there.
I haven't met you yet. I'm Shane over in customer support, team lead for the West Side.
Okay, nice to meet you, Shane. Eric, new product manager.
Yeah, we definitely need more product managers.
It's been a consistent theme because I've been kind of trying to make the rounds like, oh great, yeah, they need more. So
Sebastian's been doing great for a one-man crew, by the way.
yeah, he's amazing. I've been sitting in shadowing him. So
I'm Joey. I'm on the sales team. I'm also very new.
hey, glad to meet you.
All right, yeah, give a couple more minutes. All right, yeah. Con and Jared, welcome.
Hey, Shane.
Anyone here a current homeowner? Yeah, okay. Cool. Wait, we're split. I am too, but so I will be covering both the home buying and selling. So we'll get a little bit from each side. All right.
I'm looking forward to it because I'm planning to buy soon, probably next year or maybe maximum 2 years. So that's one thing.
Let's pull my notes out a little bit.
Shane, I might have to hit you up outside of this. I literally have an inspection on a house tomorrow. So
Great. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah. And then I'm not sure how I can get the slide deck to people with this. I'm not sure where we're storing all our recordings, but I'll make sure that gets out, or you can just hit me up directly and I can get you this or more too. I'll give it like just about 30 seconds or so because I've got quite a bit, but I wanted to leave time for questions just so people could ask, whatever thing they've come across or have questions about. So I do have that slide. Let me get up here. Okay. There's the agenda. All right. So the first thing I found when becoming an agent is that who you work with matters. Picking the right person to work with is important, and it goes through all the different phases, including your lender, your title company. All of that can determine how smooth the process goes and how much stress is involved. So I try and be a stress-free agent because we can usually figure everything out. It's just a matter of working through the details. So I'm going to go through the home buying process first, then we'll look at the process for selling, and then I'll try and leave some time for some questions. All right, so this is an infographic I usually give out to all my clients too, and we're starting up here on the right side with the red with me with the real estate professional. So a lot of times I do get referred because people know me or heard about me, and so I kind of talk to them about what you're looking for, the details, understand your needs. But then after that, I usually send you right back to a lender. But a lot of times I have lenders that I work with, and that helps me, again, smooth the relationships. I know what to expect from them. I know they're responsive. I know they're going to help you out. But they're the ones who kind of look at your financial situation to know what you can afford, what you could be pre-approved for, what amount, the different kind of loan programs you might be available for. There's one called USDA that is basically a resident or rural area. And sometimes you'd be surprised what's considered rural, at least in my area. But that's a great program for first-time home buyers because it's no money down. But the rates are usually a little different. So it's kind of, you put a little, the money's different. But the lender can help you get acquainted with those things. So I usually put you in touch with that. I recommend shopping a couple lenders too, because they have different rates and again, different personalities. So getting in touch with them. But then once you've got that, we got your pre-approval letter, which is what we need to kind of go start looking at homes. Because you wouldn't want someone looking at your home if they're not approved to even buy it, right? So we kind of have that. And then we get to search for homes. So a lot of people use Zillow, Redfin. It doesn't really matter what website you use to search. But once you found it, you basically send the information to the agent. Now, as an agent, I have access to the listing system, and there's like private notes in there, and there's information that isn't publicly available. So I usually look at that first and kind of see what's in there, and then that's where we can also set up appointments. So if you're looking at a picture though of a home and you see there's no furniture in it, it looks kind of empty, it's kind of safe to know that you could probably visit that home whenever you want because it's probably vacant, right? But if you see furniture in it, it looks like people are living there, then you probably know you might have to set an appointment to view that home. And usually that's kind of how I make a list of homes or, schedule it and work with that. So, but let's say we found the home and we want to make an offer. You look at it, this is great. So then you've got to start thinking about some numbers, like when do you want to move into the home? When would you want to take possession of it? The seller might be motivated by certain dates, right? They want to move quick, or you know what, they're trying to sell their home, so they want someone who's flexible with that. Those are things that as an agent, I talk to the selling agent and say, what are your sellers motivated by? There's also earnest money. Does anyone know what earnest money is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that's the money. It's kind of like a down payment. I kind of call it like a layaway because the money you put into it, it is applied to the purchase of the home, but it sort of shows how serious you are about it. The more money you put down, the more the seller goes, okay, this person's serious, because that money, if you potentially walk away from the home at some point, which I'll talk about, you could basically lose it. The seller could get it if you basically default on the process. Also, the down payment also kind of shows how serious or financially capable you are of purchasing the home. So if the seller sees a nice down payment, or if you're able to put a nice down payment, they go, okay, that's good. It can vary though. There's no set thing. Also, the loan type sometimes is reflected as good or bad, because certain loan types have higher restrictions in terms of the inspection or the appraisal, and the process can be longer. Like that USDA loan that I mentioned earlier, while it's no money down, it takes longer because there's more bureaucracy around it. It's a government program. So that can just make things take longer. So you want the most solid offer you can by looking at those values. And obviously the offer and price is also important. So if you really like the home and you know it's competitive, then you might offer more than asking. And that was happening a lot when the market was really hot. There were homes going ahead for like 50,000, 100,000 over asking, and it was kind of crazy. But something to consider in that too is the home has to appraise at what you're buying it for. So you can't just throw a ton of money at it unless it's cash, then it works. But any loan program, they're going to want to say, is the home really worth that? All right. So you make an offer, then they accepted it, which doesn't always happen because there's times you get beat out, but then you're under contract. And so then at that point, as Corey said, you schedule an inspection. So the buyer does pay for that. I'll cover that in another slide here. That you can put, the great thing is you can put that on a credit card, so that doesn't have to, anyway, you can put that on a credit card. And then they'll go out there and schedule it. You usually have like 10 days or so. It's in the contract as to how long that inspection window is. But then they'll go out, look at the home, and they'll give you a report as to all the things that are wrong. Now, when looking at the report, it's probably going to show a lot of things. You may be overwhelmed going, wow, this home's falling apart. But that's sort of their job, just to make you aware of what the home's like. There are certain things that are kind of cosmetic, and there are certain things that are serious. Like if the roof needs to be repaired, that's a huge expense. But you go through that negotiation. As a buyer, though, when you're looking at a home, if you say, hey, the inspection says the roof needs to be repaired, my advice is you don't say, okay, seller, repair your roof, or, it would be, how I want to take this much off of the price of the home so I can repair the roof, because you want to hire the person to repair the roof, right? You want to know it's going to be done right. And after it's done, you want to be able to contact that person and be like, hey, it's leaking. You don't want to go, hey, seller, who did you get again? Because they have a leak. And, he's like, oh, I don't know. It was my brother, those kind of things you don't want to have happen. So, and my advice is to basically try and lower the price with the negotiation and then get your repairs. I kind of get like 3 bids on a home for the items that need to be repaired, and then submit that to the seller and say, hey, here's what it looks like, and this is why we're going to ask for this price reduction. So then after that, though, if you got the repairs, and there'll be addendums that send back and forth, like, hey, we're lowering the price to this, everything gets accepted, it goes into escrow, and then the title company sort of takes over, and they basically gather all the documents, they talk with your lender, and they basically finalize that little process. And it's kind of a waiting game at that point for that close date that you would set. So it's really that initial offer, inspection. Oh, and also property disclosures. I was going to talk about the seller side too, but that's the paperwork where the seller says, these are all the conditions of the home that I know. And it says, has the roof ever leaked? Yes. When, it was repaired on this date. Those kind of things you disclose what you know. And so as a buyer, you have 3 days after you've received that to basically say, okay, I accept it, and that's good. And the other thing is the inspection window after 10 days or whatever you've defined in the contract. Those are your outs, like to basically say, you know what, never mind, I don't want this home anymore, and you won't lose your earnest money that you put down on it. After you've passed the 3-day window and after you pass the inspection window, then the seller could actually come after you for that earnest money. If you're in that period where you're under contract and you're doing the finding details and titles working it, if all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I found this other home I like better, I want to back out, that's where the seller could go, hey, I've been off the market for 3 weeks while you've been doing these things and getting inspections and stuff. I want that money. So it doesn't happen often, but that's sort of your 2 outs. All right, and here's kind of just a little example of what your fees could look like as a buyer. Again, the inspection, about $400 typically out here. You don't want to charge many things while you're doing this process because that'll obviously affect your debt to income ratio. And that's the lenders would be very upset if you go and go like, hey, I'm going to buy a new couch or I'm going to do this. Don't do that till everything's said and done. And then earnest money, again, that amount, it could be as little as $1 up to 3% of the purchase price is typical. And that is also due 3 days after you've accepted the offer. So that is cash or money you need to have fluid so that you can transfer that over to the title company. And one other fee that's sort of significant is the appraisal itself. And that's listed off in the closing costs here. And it's typically done through whatever lender. So that's, again, where you can save money if you can find a lender who will save you on that cost. Or sometimes they'll actually waive them as an incentive to use them. Just going to skim through this one. This is just kind of a warm fuzzy about, why it's nice to own a home. You're getting equity. You're going to put down some roots a little bit. There's statistics that say kids do better in homes with that stability, I guess. You can feel happy that you can plant a tree. You can have a dog and not have to worry about fees and deposits. There's obviously the mortgage interest that you can deduct from your taxes. And then obviously appreciation is also why, because when you go to sell your home again, typically takes about 5 years, but you can get 12% or more depending on that. This last year, due to the crazy increase, we saw a lot. I saw a guy buy a house the year before for 300, and he sold it for 345 the next year. And so that in 1 year, he made 45 grand. Now, which some of that's going to fees and stuff, but still a great investment. And he just hit the market just right. All right. So an agent can help you in a couple different ways. Knowing when to list your home, because there's different seasons or fluctuations in the market. By looking at the market activity itself, it can help you understand how to prepare your home. And then maybe you even sell the home without going to market. If you wanted to sell quickly, but didn't want to list, I have ways to do that as well. So let's look at this little graph here. And so when do you guys think would have been the best time to list in this last year, looking at this graph here? What month? Can you see it okay?
Like as a seller?
Yeah, so this is inventory too. Yeah, you're a seller. When would have been the best time to sell your home based on this graph? Because this is the inventory number of homes available throughout from February to October.
Looks like April.
April, May, yeah, the lowest point basically, right? When there's the least amount of homes and you put yours on, boom, now you're in the prime spot because there's not as many homes to go. So as it goes up, there's more homes to see, there's more competition, the prices can come down. But down here would have been a great time. There's less fluctuation, less homes to compare with, so you can get more for your home. So looking at markets like that is helpful. So here's the seller's roadmap, very similar meet with an agent, talk about, and this one too, I mean, obviously I'd like everyone just to pick me, but you should interview a couple people because there's personality differences. There may be different approaches. And so interview agents. You don't have to like just pick the first one. I've been processes where people are like, hey, you're the third person I've talked to, and give me your spiel. But the main thing is I want to warn you guys against is don't just pick the agent that gives you the highest dollar figure for your home. Like he comes in, I can get you 600,000 for this home. This is what, I'll do, because I've seen that happen. And then what happens is a home sits at 600,000, no one buys it because that wasn't the right market price. And then after 25 days, you're like, well, we've got no offers. I guess we got to lower the price. Then you lower it and you lower it. And then people look at that and go, wow, why is this home getting lowered? Something must be wrong with it. And so it takes longer and you end up having a bad face on the market. So establishing that price right away is really important. That's why I've taken the time to get pricing strategy advisor label that basically says I've been trained in how to basically get you the best accurate price for your home. Because there's a lot of variables. And that's what else helps to work with an agent who's local in your area and knows the different neighborhoods and those kind of things too. And when you set that price, like don't go with the 39999 or 950 or just set it flat out, because a lot of times people are using drop downs when they're searching, right? So if you're looking at homes and for some reason you're at 3999 and someone starts at 400, they didn't see your home. It's not even there, so you might as well have done the extra dollar. And now you've got more people in that filter being able to hit you. This is something you might not think about also. So preparing your home is important. Like the first time people see your home, it's going to be online, right? They're going to go to a website and they're going to look at pictures. So decluttering, I mean, one of the things that happens is when you have a home, for those who have it, you start getting stuff and you start putting it everywhere and, it's yours, right? And you can take it, but people want to see themselves in your home and it's hard to do if they've got too much of your stuff in it. So you kind of want to strategically find a way to declutter your home. I've had people rent storage units and just start putting stuff because you're going to move, right? So you might as well kind of get a jump start. What do I not need right away? And the second thing is really take professional pictures. I've seen agents try and save a couple $100 and go in there with their nice iPhones, right? And they take the pictures, but it's just still not as good. And it can be you can see the reflection of the person, holding their camera up, and it's like, oh, and it just doesn't set the bar is high. And when you have those high quality pictures, you can really get more value for your home because you're like, wow, that's really nice. It looks really nice. And people pay more for things that are really nice. So a couple tips there. So then you list for sale. So once you go listed, you got to think, okay, people are going to start coming to my house and they're going to start looking at it. So you got to be ready to get out of your house. And people can say set their appointment. So kind of think about that as to where are you going to go? And they're typically like a half hour or so. But there's programs within the real estate agent tools that can help you like block windows or work with your agent. Another way to avoid that is to have an open house. COVID kind of killed open houses. So honestly, we're like, no, I'm not going to go there. I want people, there were still, sanitizers and, all that kind of stuff going on, but it really kind of put a damper on that. It's starting to come back now. You're seeing it more, but that's one way to do it. There's also virtual open houses. Take a camera and go through. As an agent, sometimes I'll record a video just so people do it and I'll talk through it, that kind of stuff. So then the negotiations and offers comes in. So you once you get an offer, what I typically do is reach out to anyone who's looked at the home, because I'll keep track of everyone who's looked at the home and I'll say, hey, we have an offer. Did your clients like it? Were they willing to put in an offer? We've got one. And that way you kind of solicit multiple offers. Another strategy is to actually to say holding all offers until this date so that you can get the most offers in. Typically within the first week, the market's been so hot that you can basically set a week and homes will get offers within that week. Again, if you set the price right. Then you basically the same thing. The offer is accepted, but you have to look at those same conditions you did as a buyer. Is the date where you want it to be for moving in? And those things are flexible. A lot of people think, oh, I can't do anything. No, that date's not going to work. Well, you just say, talk to the agent. Hey, can we adjust this? Are you willing to move it? And then you can write addendums and say, yeah, we'll extend it to this date, or you rewrite the contract to do that. So everything's kind of flexible. Something I didn't talk about here, but I will since it's a seller, is who's paying the fees, right, for the agents. As a buyer's agent, my clients don't actually pay me. It's the seller. The person who's selling the home pays the buyer's agent and the listing agent. So, and those percentages are different. and they can vary. It's a negotiation. So if an agent, again, when you're talking to them, if they're like, oh, I get, as a listing agent, I get 7%. And then the next guy comes in, he's like, I'll do 6%. So you go, oh, well, there's a whole percentage difference. That's a lot of money. And then ask them where the splits are going. It is traditional. There can be no fixed rates, because that would be like monopolies. And so we can't, as an industry, say this is what we're charging. But typically 2.5% goes to the buyer's agent and 3.5% goes to the seller's agent. And so that usually comes up with a traditional 6% commission. And sometimes we look on the lookout, people say, oh, we don't charge the commissions. They'll charge you a fee that is really the same as a commission or more. And some of the iBuyers, anyone know what an iBuyer is? Have you heard of that? Because as a seller, you might be looking at that. Have you heard of Open Door? It's not everywhere, but it is. Okay. Open Door
They
is
send me mailers all the time.
it's just a company that they buy houses and they don't do much to them, but they just resell them. But they buy them like a little below market rate, and they're trying to saturate the market a little bit. And they have an app. I've used it before to view their homes, and that's one way when you're looking at homes. I kind of skipped that part. You can use an app and go look at the homes that are open doors or open houses. Those are two ways you can view a home without an agent. Otherwise, you need an agent to look at a home to get the keys to get into the home. I have a process called express offers, where we work with investors and they have certain conditions on their home that they want, but they'll basically buy your home again without going to the market. And it's, again, if you want to avoid preparing your home, want to avoid the pictures, want to avoid people coming in and doing all the appointments, that might be a way to go. It's just have someone who's willing to just flat out give you an offer. And they'll usually have someone come out and do the same thing, sort of an inspection to make sure it's all good. But it's a way to avoid the market. But you're typically not going to get the most money. It's just a way to move quickly and still get some money for your home. But I've always seen going to market is the best way to get the most money for your home. All right, so skipping back here, we're under contract. We've accepted it. There are actually tools too that help you understand multiple offers. I try and write it all out for my clients to help them see the benefits, because you might not understand the different loan types or the down payment or earnest money. All those kind of things can be a factor. But as a seller, you're basically looking at, how do I get out of this house and move my stuff out? And then, because on the close date, you need to hand over the keys and the home needs to be totally empty, and the new buyers are moving in, and you're going to yours. So here's just a slide kind of showing some of the tools that I use to get some of the pricing values and to look at the market. And I have a link for the one that shows you like the profile, because it's just interesting to see where we're at. So you see it says we're a strong seller's market here. Just give you the median prices, but then on the right is where you kind of look at the details of the home and really compare them. This kind of gives you a high level overview, and then I kind of look even further as to because this doesn't show me really the neighborhoods as well. But this gets you a first list. They call this a CMA. So sometimes you'll hear an agent say, hey, I'll prepare a CMA for you. It's really a competitive market analysis to see where your home is. And then this back here is just a report that I can generate from a site that takes all the MLS data. And it's a little bit more reliable than Zillow because it's a little bit more localized and focused, but it'll give you a current estimated value. And that's kind of where I go as a starting point. It's just like, okay, this is a reasonable estimate, but then I look and see what are the details of the home, where's the neighborhood, because location is still important when looking at homes. And so this is a little sheet I hand out because, again, first impressions matter when people are walking into the home, when they're looking at it online. And this just kind of goes through, again, like I talked about, decluttering, depersonalizing, making the most space, taking down some pictures maybe. Sometimes that's helpful. People go, oh, I'd like to have a family here. Sometimes it's not. And then here's one other thought. Is the closing costs. There's a lot of calculators, and your lenders will help you with this, because a lot of times my clients are like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. What is this? What are the values? Where's my money going? There's basically title and escrow companies will kind of help you understand where the fees are going, and they can vary, but you can pop in all your numbers and kind of get what your monthly fee would be, or how much money you're going to get profit based on after you've paid all the fees out to the seller's agent and the listing agent. I have a link for that too. Well, there they are. Oh, yes. So I don't know if anyone's an investor, But this website that I was turned on to about a couple of years ago called biggerpockets.com. It's really helpful in understanding getting started with investing, how to fix and flip homes. There's also just getting reoccurring revenue because through rentals. And they have a lot of programs and stuff through that. I do a lot of my advertising through them and get clients through them. And I give discounted rates because an investor is just a different person than a home buyer. A home buyer, you're going to have a relationship once every 5 to 10 years, maybe. An investor, they're doing homes a year probably. And then a lot of the information I covered goes into more detail on this title company out here. Actually, they're national though. So if you wanted like more information and a lot of the terminology, I took those slides out, but basically what do these things mean, is also in there. So, all right, any questions? This is just my crew from a few years back. When you have any thoughts, questions?
Jen, are you gonna post these slides somewhere? Like, are you
Yeah,
gonna
I'm going
show
to try. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure where the previous coffee talks are. So, but yes, I also have them like PDFs of those infographics that I could share. So if we can find a spot where these are going, I will definitely put them there, or just ping me and I can email them to you too. But I will try and get them there. I'm not even sure like where they're being stored right now. That was a question I had, where our coffee talk links are. But
So if you were going, like to start looking for a home and like you had really no idea necessarily what was going on in the market yet, you just like want to start looking, where would you go first? Would you just like find an agent? Would you do some research online? If so, like, yeah, what would be like your very first step?
yeah, I mean, an agent will help you with sites and the information like where the market is and that activity. But I mean, you can always kind of just search ahead where you're at right now. Like, oh, I think I'd like this area. But the agent, I think, would help you understand what you can expect a little bit better than you on your own. But yeah, you can just start searching the websites and find one that you like that has the features that you're looking for. One of the things I found hard is like looking for extra stuff, like the details of a home. Finding like using the keyword search, like if you're looking for specific things like a ADU, like what is that? An auxiliary dwelling unit, like you want that extra home, or because the MLS system has fields you basically can mark in what your home has to offer, but it's still hard to capture all that. It doesn't have all the new things. Like it still says like, cable or DSL, like it's a feature of your home. It's like, well, that's not even a thing anymore. But yeah, I mean, does that help that get where?
Yeah.
I mean, you can start searching, but I would start reach out to a couple agents, and biggerpockets.com has agents that advertise on there and say, I'm an investor. So, you've got agents who are interested and active. You could just ping your area, put in your zip code and find someone and just send them some feelers. And like you say, see who's the most responsive to you with your questions and things and who's really serious about working with you. Because that's one thing I found is just some agents are just not responsive. And I wonder how they continue to get clients. Because I'm actually like talking to my principal broker, like, how can we like complain against this person who hasn't sent me paperwork, since the beginning of this? And it's just putting their clients at risk in a way. And it's just like, wow, why would you do that? So finding a good person is good. And also a lender. I mean, lenders also, if you go to a person, like you have a relationship with a lender, they will typically know agents as well. Say, hey, I know this person, they can refer you. It's kind of a two-way street there for referrals. And my brokerage is national. It's actually global, eXp Realty. So I can also give you an agent too, if you want to. I can reach out to and basically background check myself and make sure they're a good person and just send you that referral. And honestly, that's the way that I can make some money too, because those referrals means I get a little piece of the pie. But
All right.
little marketing scheme there that they've developed at it. Some agents just do that. And there's actually companies that will basically just sell leads to people. They basically do all the advertising online, pull the information about people looking for homes, and then they'll say, hey, Shane, I'll give you this lead. Give me 25%. And it's like, well, I didn't have to do anything for that. It's going to be a guaranteed transaction. Maybe I will do that. So.
Hey, Shane, I had a quick question. For looking at and like investment opportunities, are there any like areas that you look towards for researching like new markets that are kind of growing, or is it just more like internal resources that you have as an agent?
Yeah, I would definitely the bigger pockets because that's definitely a question that they talk about and have videos about. But yeah, it is more just research. Like, okay, but some of the thoughts are like, okay, where is an area that has a good vacation community, right? Because vacation rentals is good like that. Where do people come and visit? And looking at those towns and industries, where is their homes just inexpensive right now, where you can get a really nice home because people can work remote as we all are, right? So why not move to Idaho out and if I want to have a place in the woods and I can get a much nicer home than I can where I'm at here in Oregon and Portland because the markets are just different. So that is more just research. And based on what you're looking for, if you want a vacation home versus a long-term rental or a home to purchase to live in for yourself. I don't have real advice on what, just because it kind of depends, but that site gives you a lot of good ideas
Yeah,
where to get
okay.
started and how to evaluate them too. It's got a lot of good evaluation tools for, would this home make sense? And that's the biggest question and hardest to figure out.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Shane.
Yeah, so we got the daily here. So thank you all for coming.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks,
this
Shane.
was awesome, Jane.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.